Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow, keep it in business. I mean, we may have to change our line there, Lance.
It's possible, but
send us your questions. You can send us any questions. We would love to answer your questions. You can also enter a question during the show by sending an email to Joseph or entering it into the chat box. Lance Sexton, thank you for joining us. Katie, as always, thank you. There's the certificate. We have a lot of news, so let's get into it. How much a premium does SBA expertise add to your department's compensation costs? What I want to know is an underwriter, a loan closer, Lance, for that matter, a servicing and liquidator, how much more of a premium do they receive in compensation over ones who handle conventional loans? What do you think, Lance?
I'm not surprised. I think it's at least 10 to 15% because
Right.
the SBA expertise is certainly different than standard commercial loan underwriting, servicing and liquidation. So not surprised by the numbers. I do believe that the SBA expertise will continue to be a highly sought after resume item.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's interesting. 21% said no increase. That's the answers were all over the board. Lance, this question comes from Craig. Is PPP payment deferment an additional 10 months after the covered period of 24 weeks? What do we got, Lance?
And well, the deferment period is, they have the deferment period ends when the borrower submits for forgiveness. And the Paycheck Protection Program Flexibility Act gave the borrower 10 months from the end of the covered period to submit for forgiveness. So technically it could be 10 months. Most likely it's not going to be because most small business borrowers are pretty anxious to submit for forgiveness and get this over with. In fact, I read an article by our friend John today talking about the anxiety that both the bankers and the small business owners have about forgiveness. But it could extend.
Yeah, we're going to hold that article over. I'm sorry, Lance. We're going to hold that article over to tomorrow and let John talk about it. But it is a fascinating article on what's happening in terms of perceptions by borrowers on PPP. What did the Federal Reserve Chairman Powell recommend the Main Street minimum? Come on, Joseph. There we go. Minimum loan size to be lowered.
I did not see this one, Bob.
Katie's on top of it. Katie, what's the answer?
So yesterday, I guess, yesterday, days are starting to blend together here. The Federal Reserve Chair said that he really would recommend that it be lowered to $100,000. But then he kind of went on to say that it would actually kind of be better to stick with something like PPP rather than the Main Street Lending Program, just because of the way it's developed. PPP would be better for businesses that are already struggling than the Main Street Lending Program would be.
Yeah, but the documentation as well. I'm not that much of a expert on the documentation for Main Street Lending, Lance, but it's got to be more than PPP.
Well, and the underwriting requirements are significantly more stringent. So
there are underwriting requirements.
To be able to get money into small business owners efficiently, the Fed Chair Powell is correct. Diverting some of the Main Street money to PPP would be a great way to do it.
We've attached in your handout section the current FAQs on MSLP. Just be aware it will change, but that's where we are today. Finally, do you believe, the notice came out yesterday, and then they rescinded it, and they sent out the new notice. The fees are the same. There was some technical language that had to be changed. But do you believe as a lender that the 3.5% fees on the guaranteed portion for 7A loans over $1 million are fair?
Yeah, I lean toward by wishing that the fees did not have to be at that level, but keeping SBA as zero subsidy, which keeps SBA in positive light with Congress, is more important than reducing the fee.
Katie, there's Lance just mentioned something, zero subsidy. What is zero subsidy?
Well, that's allowing the program to really run at the price that it does without really burdening the country too bad. So it's really important that we kind of stay that way from everything I've heard. Yeah.
Good answer. Good answer. Yeah. It pays for itself by two fees, the upfront fee as well as the fee when we sell these loans to the secondary market that the lender
On the ongoing servicing fees, part of that too.
Yeah, that's the fee I was referring to. Very good. Yeah, I personally think it's a little high, but all the studies and obviously the people we talk to, people are more concerned is when am I going to get the check? When are you going to strike me a check, as opposed to, are we prime 1.5, prime 1.75? So that's it. We've attached that notice. This is effective October 1, and there are no changes in fees.
I went through it and I didn't see any changes at all. So it's probably something very small that they changed. Maybe just the wording of something, but it seemed like the fees were all the same.
I have been corrected, Lance. It says that 3.75 is for the guaranteed portion on loans over 1 million. Anyway, is that correct? I think I said 3.5%. Okay, thank you for that correction. Appreciate it. What's going on in Washington?
So the House yesterday passed a bipartisan stopgap spending bill. The stopgap spending bill temporarily prevents government shutdown, which would have started on October 1st. So now we're safe until December 11th. And the Senate's planning to vote on that later this week. So hopefully everything passes and we don't have to worry about a government shutdown.
Yeah, and it will. I mean, if we had a government shutdown, Lance, that would have been horrible.
Right, and this was a lot of support for it. So hopefully that means we're going to get bipartisan support in the Senate as well, and it'll just pass.
Very good. Let's see. And there's Congress debates leaning on Fed for PPP for small business aid. What's going on here, Katie?
This is just more of what we were talking about earlier with Powell saying that he wants to focus more on PPP rather than focusing on the Main Street Lending Program, because that program really wasn't helping the small businesses that were deeply debt burdened. PPP would help significantly more.
The IRS has officially gone on record saying that we do not need to file a 1099-C cancellation debt for PPP loans. Do either of you know where we are? Certain states that are trying to tax us. Where are we on that situation?
Last I saw, there were maybe about 3 or 4 states that had said they wanted to. One state had officially declared that they weren't going to do it, even though they had the ability to do it. So I think the real concern are some of those larger states that received a lot of PPP loans. Some of those small businesses really went into this not thinking that we're going to get taxed heavily on it. And there's really nothing preventing some of those states from taxing it at the moment.
And Katie, do you recall the states in question?
I know California was one of them that was still talking about it. One of the Carolinas said that it wasn't going to do it. I forget which one now, but it's still a question, and it's still a problem for a lot of small businesses.
Lance,
hey, Bob.
Go ahead, Lance.
One of the things that we have to get fixed is clarification on forgiveness. I love that the Fed chairs saying put more money in PPP and just let's use that vehicle. One of the things that I'm concerned about is the second round of PPP went quite slowly. All the money was not used. And part of the reason for that is the uncertainty of forgiveness. We even have more uncertainty now. We need to get that cleared up. Again, it's an excellent vehicle to get money to small business borrowers quickly, but Congress has got to get simplified forgiveness figured out because we may have this giant pool of money that everybody's like, whoa, I don't know if I'm going to get forgiven.
Well, I guess the other question is, Lance, is it a demand issue? In other words, did everyone who wanted a PPP loan under the existing guidelines get one? Were there people that were shut out? I haven't heard anything along those lines. So you're advocating make it simpler and that perhaps there's people on the sidelines who will jump in at round two. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think there's two elements to this round of PPP funding. There are the existing small businesses that got a first round PPP loan that may still be shuttered, that may be working at limited capacity, that need another shot of PPP. But there are some people who did not get a PPP loan and may have needed it, but were concerned about all the rumblings about forgiveness. I talk to small business owners every day who, feel like they're going to get forgiven, but have uncertainty and anxiety about it because Congress, they're just playing around. And I'm sorry, they're not just playing around, but they're not coming to a conclusion on what's going to happen with forgiveness. And Bob, most small business owners would feel better if they just said, okay, what we've got right now is what you're going to use. The 3508 and 3508 easy, that's it. Apply.
Yeah, give me the rules. Well, we're going to have John Riossi on tomorrow, and he'll bring us up to date on this as well. And hopefully he's wrong. I think, didn't John say it's not going to be done until after the first of the year?
After the election.
After the election. Okay,
yeah.
Okay. So, but even that's 6 weeks away. Speaking of the election, John asked the question, politics aside, I think November looms even larger than October with the 6 months deferment drying up in September. October will be the first month with payments shifted back to the borrowers. However, November is when they can show up as 30-plus delinquent. Lance, you've been beating this drum for months. How big of an issue is this?
I think it's going to be more significant than most people think because every SBA loan in the country, existing SBA loan, has 6 months worth of payment. Many of those businesses are doing, really, really well, but there are particular industries where there are a lot of SBA loans out there. The hospitality industry is one. Hotel motels have struggled, but they've survived because their loan payments have been made by SBA. What happens, and John brings up a brilliant point, September is most likely the last CARES Act payment. What happens in October when they have to actually make their loan payment? And November is an important month of the year to kind of get a feel how many 30-day delinquencies. And there are other industries. One example, the dry cleaners. Well, Bob, you guys have seen me every day. I'm wearing a golf shirt. My golf shirts don't go to the dry cleaners. Prior to COVID, I wore a starched shirt every day. So the dry cleaning industry is struggling, and the restaurant industry, as we all know, is struggling. So what's going to happen to all those existing SBA loans when the CARES Act payments end, which for a large percentage of those SBA loans this month is when they end?
Lance, please tell me, though, that you have found the washing machine in your house and you're at least washing them. Okay.
I have, Bob. Yes, I have.
Just want to clarify that. Raymond asks an EIDL question, an idle question. Lance, what's going on with this?
I'm trying to look and see what the question is. The idle loan program does offer a long-term, relatively low fixed rate, and it can be used for a variety of working capital needs. There's not as many restrictions. There's not percentages. And most businesses would in fact have an opportunity at qualifying for an idle.
Well, let's go back to the big picture. Number one, are idle loans available today?
Are they, Katie?
I don't know. I haven't heard from them in a while.
They're not available. Number two, are they coming back? We don't know. There's a chance that they will be. So that is that's part of the package that they're talking about. Very good. Let's see. We're going to be doing a webinar next week on our compensation plan. We finally got that out, and we'll do a secondary market webinar as well. And we'll get some cool webinars from Lance coming up as well. But Lance, we still have your loan closing training, your award-winning loan closing training on the books.
Bob, I do not have my plaque here in my current secret location, but the SBA loan closer certification course is a great course for, it could be for closers. It could be for a variety of people in your SBA department.
Yeah, it's 10 hours worth of instruction. You did a great job. And you also have a great course on servicing liquidation, which, as John pointed out, is going to be very, very important in the coming months.
Yes.
Well, very good. Do we have any other questions?
Just a quick clarification. SBA says that idle is still open, not advanced.
Shows you what we know.
I just, Bob, I've heard nothing about small business owners getting them. Maybe it is open and maybe the applications are light. I'm not real sure, but I've not heard.
We will follow up on idle, and tomorrow, Katie, that's your job. Bring us up to date on what idle's doing tomorrow, and we will have some accurate information as opposed to three stooges up here speculating on, I don't know, you heard, I don't know. Anyway, thank you for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time. Thanks a lot.
Have a great afternoon.